Talk some college football coming up top of the hour. A question I have about the upcoming season. I'll throw it at you. It's coming up in about 30 minutes from now. The big local news yesterday was the fact that the Portland City Council voted in a 8-4 manner to pass the funding MOU resolution to begin the negotiating process of renovating the Moda Center. Now, this is not the most important aspect of it, but I did get a great chuckle. Did you see who caught a stray yesterday during the proceedings? Did you see this?
I missed the actual debate and process.
So at the end of everything, the counselors are going through, making their votes. I tried to, it's incredibly boring. I tried my best to follow along. And again, thanks to our guy, Wright Gazaway, who was there, and he didn't do a full live play-by-play, but he was kind of, here's the gist of it. This is what you need to know. Counselor Novick, who was the one that kind of threw this into a bit of a tailspin with the threat of the lawsuit weeks ago of like, well, first class, it's got to be first class, we'll sue you. And then that sent everybody into a tizzy. I will say he had a hilarious line in his final. He was making his closing argument. I believe he ended up voting yes for it, but don't quote me on that. But he said, and when talking to the Blazers about the tax and the increase in the tax and all that, would you rather pay $6 million a year for a nice new arena or Clint Capella? And everybody's like, whoa, dude, what did Clint Capella do to deserve that? Just completely out of left field. So that, look, it's not the most important thing, but I did chuckle out loud when I saw that quote. It made me laugh. And Clint Capella somewhere just catching a stray, $6 million a year. Here's how it all went down and what is in the term sheet that the city council is now going to send over to the organization. And I'll also read the team's response to this because, hey, look, the team actually responded to it. So here we go. Maybe we got some progress. The final vote was 8-4. The concern was, even if it was 6-6, Wright told us that yesterday, that they would get the tie-breaking vote from the mayor. So even if it's 6-6, don't really worry. 7-5 would be nice. 8-4 was ideal, and I'll explain that in a moment. But they are asking for $3.1 million in rent that goes up throughout the length of the deal, $3 million in property tax offset payment, up to $120 million for renovations, $275 million for ongoing CapEx, overruns on the Blazers, they want community benefits, and they want the final approval on renovation plans from a joint authority. Essentially, we want to have a say in how this is all going to look because we're providing the money for it. The reason why I think the 8-4 vote was significant, I don't know where this is all going to go from here. It's going to be a very contentious negotiation.
Well, it's going to start with
long ways away.
Yeah, you're charging me $6.25 million off the top per year, and that's going to go up annually based on inflation.
Exactly.
That's going to get Tom Dundon's attention.
It'll be a non-starter from the Blazers side.
That's where they're going to start.
To the city council's credit, though. One, if you're going in a negotiation, you always start with you're not going to start with $1.1 million. And he says, okay, fine, deal. Like, you're going to start with something that's aggressive that you know he won't agree to, that you can then whittle down from there, right? Like, that's how negotiations
go. And unfortunately, Tom Dundon's brought that on based on previous stuff. It's like, yes, we have to start here. Because if we start where we want to end up, he's not going to.
He'll whittle you down from there. He'll get you even lower than that.
And that's where I wish maybe there had been more of an understanding initially when things were presented to him when he purchased it. Here, this is what the package looks like, so that you could just go, hey, if we do this, I don't want to go 12 rounds with you. Sign the damn thing and let's go.
Here's what we want. Just get it done.
And now that's not going to happen. And so fans are still – nobody's convinced yet.
Well, no, so this certainly was not going to go – the vote yesterday was never a indicator of this being done.
I'm just glad there wasn't more nonsense wrangling behind the scenes of we shouldn't be doing this.
No, and that was like – when you look through what they're asking for here, and this is why I think if you missed our Wright Gazaway interview yesterday, I recommend going and listening to it because – we can follow this story locally. How it pertains to the rest of the league and these other deals is what makes it interesting to me. Because when we think of the Portland City Council, we don't have a very positive opinion of them.
No.
I can't imagine their approval rating is very high, but it is Portland, so you never know. And there's probably this theory in your head of like, oh, God, we're asking for these asinine Portland-related things, and we're going to find a way to screw this deal up. And that's where it was enlightening from Wright yesterday because he's gone through agreements in Oklahoma City that they've worked through, Orlando that they've worked through, Sacramento that they've worked through. And almost every component of what the amendments are that the city is asking for from the team. Now, you could say there's a slightly different number here or
they're
there.
asking for more,
or a little bit more than another
cities.
market, but none of these are outrageous claims by the standard of other deals negotiated between cities and teams to renovate arenas. And then on top of that, I thought the biggest thing that the county and the city needed to do, because I have been of the opinion the entire time, if you get to this phase of it, the NBA gets more involved of saying, don't be an idiot, okay? The league cannot have local government entities putting $500 million up, over $500 million up for renovations on an arena, and an owner balking at that over a percentage point on a increase in a this or that, because it would absolutely nuke them in any negotiation going forward with any local city, state, or county government when this is going to happen in how many different markets across the league in years to come. It behooves the NBA, and this has been the thought process locally behind the scenes the entire time, that there's been a wink and a nod from Adam Silver of like, if you just approve it and put the money forward, I will help get this thing over the finish line and tell Tom Dundon to stop being an idiot, because you're not going to find this deal. And we've gone through the pitfalls of every other market that they could potentially move to, and we don't need to do that segment again. And so last week, I believe the county vote, correct me if I'm wrong, it was 3-1, right? It was over
4-1.
4-1, thank you. So it was overwhelming. You only had one naysay vote. Nonsense, sure, but what was the end result, right? 4-1. It wasn't he didn't squeak by. It wasn't a 3-2. In this case, it wasn't 6-6 with the mayor breaking the tie. You had the majority of the city council in an 8-4 vote saying, here's our term sheet. This is what we want to start negotiating with. Now, again, to the larger point, we're a long ways away from the finish line of this thing.
You got a lot of work to do.
You got a lot of work to do in the next 4 months. But I, in a weird sense, yesterday saw this news and felt like a lot of the leverage, to a certain extent, is back on the city side here. And the Blazers released a statement in responding to this. Let me find it. I got it in my notes. Hold on. And then I'll give you some dates and what's to come and all that in the next steps. Here is the statement from Dwayne Hankins, the president of business operations for the Portland Trail Blazers. Quote, I want to thank Mayor Wilson, Council President Dunphy, and City Council for their efforts to this point. We appreciate today's actions and acknowledge there is still meaningful work ahead as we continue negotiations. Our goal remains the same, to reach a deal that allows the Trailblazers to succeed on the court and as a business, supports a thriving Portland economy, and creates a path for the team to remain in Portland for decades to come. We look forward to continuing to work with the city's negotiating team in good faith, addressing the issues that remain, and finding a resolution that allows all of us to move forward together. And so that was the response from the Blazers. A very polite and respectful response. It wasn't you didn't get the anonymous piece last night for an Orem or a Quick article saying this is a non-starter, they can go pound sand, we're not negotiating with them. This is always the step that needed to take place in order to get to the phase where you can, to a certain extent, bring them to the table. We've now crossed that threshold. Now we see where it goes over the next 4 months.
We do, and we'll see who comes to the table. That'll be the interesting part.
Yeah. Is Dundon involved in these? Is it not? Are they reporting back to him?
So if it's Dwayne and their legal counsel and whoever, some representative of, who's ever doing the design, the architecture, whatever. If I was advising the Blazers at this point, I would want to have renderings or something tangible regarding what renovations, what it's going to look like, where we want to put that money, and get it out and get it public absolutely as soon as possible.
Yes, I think that would help.
They are going to balk at the $6+ million annual rent payment.
And we all know that. That can't be the first thing that goes public and being a non-starter. They need to provide, okay, if you're willing to put that up, this is how we envision using that financing. This is how we think it will benefit the public, and they need to start the conversation there. Yeah.
If they don't do that, their PR people messed up.
Right, because I think the PR right now is on the city council side. Like they have been ridiculous for 90% of this process, and a lot of it has been, look at me, we're having campaigns when Dundon's in town, we're not giving money to billionaires. Like it's been chaotic and ugly from the start. And then when it came time to vote on the term sheet, now again, the Blazers are not going to agree to these terms.
No,
that's what the negotiating phase is for. But I didn't view any of them as like, oh my, they're not asking for $10 million a year in rent. And so I view it as a lot of the PR wins right now are on the side of the city in terms of that. The county was obviously chaotic, but again, they voted to approve the funding up to $120 million in a 4-1 overwhelming manner. And so they have sent multiple messages to the NBA of saying, we're ready to play ball. Here's our money. Here's our the finances that you need in order to renovate. Here's what we promised that we would put up. Now, again, details, devil's in the details, and you got a long ways to go. But I think it's been a good PR win for them in that regard from the NBA standpoint. And for Blazer fans, I'd imagine, I don't know where the majority of Blazer fans are at. Maybe a lot of you still think the team's leaving. I don't know.
According to some of the viewer polls. Now, on news sites and that sort of thing, I don't know versus, hardcore Blazer fans, but they're not convinced yet. I'm not convinced yet. It was good that they got it done. They need to get the Blazers to the table in a workroom and start grinding on this as soon as possible.
And that was not going to happen until this vote took place.
It wasn't going to happen, but I worry that what they've asked for in the initial one is going to make it harder for the Blazers to take the city and the group seriously.
Interesting.
I think they asked for a lot over the top. To the point where I think Portland thinks they might be bluffing a little bit.
Sure.
Where the Blazers think that, okay, they're just bluffing.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get it done, to put something on. They had to appease these other people. When you look at some of the details of the Sacramento deal and the OKC deal and the Orlando deals that were mentioned previously, what Portland's asking for is a chunk over the top of those.
No doubt about it. They went a little bit higher.
So
I think there's a certain aspect in my head where I believe both sides are playing a game of chicken right here.
No question. They're still doing that. The problem is, you may think the city has, maybe taken a little bit more control of leverage. I don't, because the time is, with that state bonding issue and the way that the time frame works, they got to get it done in the next little bit.
Yes, they do.
And I don't know if they are so far apart to start that they got enough time to get down there.
Well, here are some of the dates to keep them. Actually, you know what? How about this? We'll take a little break. Put a little pin in it. How are you feeling right now about this? Are you optimistic? Still concerned? What DEFCON number are you? Now that we got an 8-4 vote from the city council yesterday. 503-864-6326. That is a fan text line. A little bit more on this and some key dates to keep in mind in the months to come, because this story will remain for the next couple of months until we reach a final deal, hopefully by the end of the year. So a little bit more on that, and then we'll get some college football stuff coming up top of the hour. Back after this on the Fan. Can't wait. This stupid Moda Center crap. Can we just get back to talking about football?
Red 85.
I'm so tired of it. But nonetheless, I remain optimistic. And maybe I'm alone in that world. I will say a couple of reasons why I'm optimistic on this and have been the entire time is that, one, I just don't buy the idea that there's a lot of viable options for the Blazers, and I haven't the entire time. Nashville, it gets thrown out there. The Grizzlies, if they move, are going to move to Nashville. They're already playing regular season games in Nashville. Oh, by the way, the Predators own the building that they would play in if they moved to Nashville. So now you're renting out in a second tenant in a building where you're not able to make the same level of income. Austin, Texas. Guess where the San Antonio Spurs play a couple of regular season games next year?
Yeah.
And who is also going through an arena dispute with a mayor and a local government? San Antonio. Yeah. So,
that's not going to happen.
This idea, you could throw St. Louis at me, I guess. Kansas City just balked at the idea of renovating a stadium for the Chiefs. The Chiefs. And the Kansas City Royals, which, whatever. But they didn't want to fund either of those. Their teams are moving to Kansas, man. So, now they're going to renovate their basketball arena for the Portland Trail Blazers. And again, I hope I'm not wrong on that, and I pray every night and I close my eyes I'm not wrong on that. I don't think there's these, massive viable threats, and I also don't think that the NBA, as dumb and shady and skeezy as Adam Silver is, he doesn't want teams to move. Sacramento was going to move, and guess what Adam Silver told them? No, figure out a deal. You're not going anywhere. And guess what they had to do? They had to crawl back to the table and figure out a deal. And so I have come at this from the notion of, I think both sides are bluffing to a certain extent, right? The city doesn't want to be seen as we're giving this bailout to billionaires. The Blazers had this looming, Dundon's creepy character. He might be moving the team. I don't think there's a lot of viable chances that happens. A couple of reasons why I'm optimistic in the local terms in terms of the deal going forward are, one, the negotiations that will happen from here on out will not take place with the city council.
No,
So
they will be private.
it is private.
Be
somebody will keep the city council up to date.
They'll keep them, and there'll be open hearing or something where there'll be an update. It'll be on the record. And say,
Steve Novick is not going to be in a room with Tom Dundon hashing out details on tax payments. That's not how this is going to go. So you're going to have level-headed people, I would imagine, on both sides, from the city side and the team side, of saying, okay, let's get the noise out of the way and figure out how this works. Now, the city council will eventually have to vote to approve the final deal at the end of it.
They got to vote on something in December, and then they got to vote again. So if they, so it'll be a vote on the final term sheet.
Yes.
It's like, all right, after negotiation.
Here's the rent payment. Here's the tax.
Here's the rent. Here's this. Here's that. Then, and then there will actually be a lease.
Yes, a new lease signed.
Up,
yes.
And that'll have to be approved. That's the final piece before the state's bond
can
get done.
And then the city council signs off it, and boom.
Monies actually start flowing back and forth.
So part of that is encouraging for me that the city council is not involved with that. And they will eventually have to vote. But the other part of it that I'm encouraged by, that I thought brought up a great point yesterday, and I can't remember if he said this on the air or off the air, because we chatted for a bit after the show.
Yeah.
And he said, it's important to note that a lot of this stuff, like, it's politics, man. These people are campaigning. There were people at the city council hearing yesterday with no bailout for billionaires sign. Like, those people exist in this city that just view this as a bailout for billionaires, which, whatever, dude, to each their own. I couldn't disagree more, but whatever. This final vote is going to take place after the what? What happens in November?
Yeah, after the elections.
Okay, so political season is done. The election is over. Now we get to December. Everybody's moved on from that point. And then, to me, there's a bit of a freeing up of like,
well, the only
this isn't a political campaign
that
anymore.
is, how many new counselors might there be?
Sure. And maybe the new counselors are more level-headed than the ones previous because people are tired of this nonsense. Although it is Portland, probably not the case.
Go the other way, too.
It very well could. A couple of dates to keep in mind. This came from Dunphy, the council president. October 14th, they have a work session tentatively scheduled for the public to hear updates on where they're at. So there will be a middle of October, so literally about 2 months from now, there will be a scheduled hearing where they're going to give updates to public you can kind of public testimony, and here's where we're at. This is what's been debated. This is kind of where we're at. And then December 17th is the final council meeting of the year and a possible vote on definitive documents. They've also revamped the city website to break down details of the deal. And so if you want to go find more of this, you can go to the city website.
I'll have to dive into more. I caught the gist of it, but yeah, we'll go dive in more. And my big question, I said it yesterday, I think both on and off the air, was I will start to believe we have reached some sort of common ground when Tom Dundon comes and sits in a room and is ready to go.
Yeah, if he's president negotiations, it feels like a deal's
I don't
closed.
think he's ready to come to the table with what the city's presenting.
No, and we all knew that going in. They're not going to sign up on that.
That's frustrating for me.
Yeah, and
we don't have much time.
I guess what would be my counter to that would be, because I certainly agree. They asked
because that's
for too
what
much
I would
and they
be.
know they're not going to get
I would
it.
have advised him in all of this nonsense.
What would you have asked for then?
Huh?
What would you have asked for then in rent and tax payments? How low would you have gone in your opening salvo?
I would
2 million, 2.5. Like, what's the appropriate number there?
Well, I don't understand enough about what that tax offset thing is to begin with. That I need to go do some research on.
Yeah.
So and I don't know if that's new or that's been existing and that was just part of the deal. And then, but I would think, based on some of the other reporting on some of the other deals, somewhere between 1.5 and 2 rent seem to be what other. So, but as I said,
and again, they got to go back to the negotiating side of it, though. So that's where you're probably going to end up.
I hate negotiating.
I mean, I get that.
I would have been like, dude, final offer, take it or leave it. Let us know, and we're moving on. Yeah. And I think the city might be like, I might go that route with Dundon. I'm not going to negotiate.
And this is my point, is if he does get to the point of coming, they could say, like, look, we know you're not going to say yes to this. What's the number he's saying yes to? 2? 2 is good? Can we do 2?
Yeah.
2.2? 1.75? What do we need to go to? What's the number that you reach?
And
then you find
been
an agreement.
More hard and fast, line in the sand. This is what the deal is. Take it or leave it, but tell us what you're going to do so we can plan for the next thing.
Yeah. It's a tricky negotiation, there's no doubt. We got a lot of hurdles still to get over, but At least nice to see 8-4 vote, and a majority of the city council members voted yes on the amendments, and now we'll wait and see how the Blazers respond in their negotiations and where it goes from here. Now the negotiations will go behind closed doors until the middle of October, so we might not hear much on this in the coming weeks unless people are leaking stuff to the media. We have a lot to get to in the next hour of radio. We will get to the Magic Hat a little bit earlier than usual because we have Brady Henderson coming up at 9:25, and so we'll do Magic Hat at the end of the hour and then get to it at the top of the next hour. But let's start with a question in college football. How deep is the pool? How far down can we go? And I'll explain. We'll play that next on The Fan.